Good afternoon again, church. It's good to see everyone with us here today. We are on day 18 of the month, so we are in Proverbs chapter 18. I hope that you've been enjoying these as much as I've been enjoying going through them with you. We have been looking quite a bit at these pearls of wisdom that have been coming to us, and chapter 18 continues with that. We still see in just about every one of these Proverbs the idea of those who are wise and those who are foolish, and the ones who are foolish end up struggling a lot more than those who listen to wisdom's advice that we looked at the first chapter. Let's go ahead and go into chapter 18. It says, "Whoever isolates himself seeks his own desire. He breaks out against all sound judgment. A fool takes no pleasure in understanding, but only in expressing his own opinion. When wickedness comes, contempt comes also, and with dishonor comes disgrace. The words of a man's mouth are deep waters. The fountain of wisdom is a bubbling brook." All right, I'm just going to stop there for a second and note that those who isolate themselves, Proverbs is all about listening to wisdom, listening to the wisdom and advice of others around you, listening to the wisdom and advice of the word that is in front of you, and not to separate yourself out and gain your own understanding or follow your own understanding is probably a better way to put that, as we've seen in the Proverbs so far. And so it says he breaks out against all sound judgment. That means he's not listening to the advice, or she is not listening to the advice of whoever is around them that can give them proper advice. And then we see the idea of the words of a man. In verse 5, it says, "It is not good to be partial to the wicked or to deprive the righteous of judgment." So be partial to the wicked, that's like bribery that we saw earlier in Proverbs, and how those who accept bribes will not allow the righteous to receive the judgment, the righteous judgment that they should have. "A fool's lips walks into a fight, and his mouth invites a beating." How many people have we seen, or maybe been, that have gotten to a foolish fight because of our own pride or arrogance? And it says his mouth invites a beating. That's not a very good thought, but that's what happens sometimes. "A fool's mouth is his ruin, and his lips are the snare of his soul. The words of a whisperer are like delicious morsels. They go down into the inner parts of the body." The whisperer. I think other versions have a little bit different take on that. But what we see here is those who speak silently into you often get into your body. "Whoever is slack in his work is a brother to him who destroys. The name of the Lord is a strong tower. The righteous man runs into it and is safe." I like that. The name of the Lord is a strong tower. We can stand inside that wonderful name and be safe from this world. "A rich man's wealth is a strong city, and like a high wall in his imagination." So a rich man's wealth is his strong city and a high wall. And so in these times, of course, they had walled cities that were protected, and that's what made you protected from others. But I like how it says here, it's in his imagination. We don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. We don't know if we're going to receive wealth or we're going to be poverty. We don't know. And so we know that there could be consequences here. "Before destruction, a man's heart is haughty, but humility comes before honor." And so pride comes before a fall, we read earlier, but now humility comes before honor. And so those who are humble are often honored, and they don't even understand why, because of their humility. "If one gives an answer before he hears, it is his folly and shame." Always listen is kind of what they're saying here. Always listen to the complete story before you offer or render judgment or advice or speculate as to what that other person is thinking or feeling. Always understand. A man's spirit will endure sickness, but a crushed spirit who can bear? And so we've seen people, maybe we have been an individual whose spirit's been crushed, and it's hard to bear that. It's hard to be around when we know someone's spirit is crushed, maybe from the loss of a loved one, maybe from a struggle, maybe from news of impending destruction upon them, whether their health or financial, or maybe a child or a loved one is struggling. It's hard to bear that sometimes, but we are here to encourage and build up one another. It says, an intelligent heart acquires knowledge, and the ear of the wise seeks knowledge. So those who are intelligent and wise seek knowledge. A man's gift makes room for him and brings him before the great. The one who states his case first seems right until the other comes and examines him. And that's how it often is when we hear of one person's story from one side, and then we hear it from another person. A lot of times that story changes quite a bit. We need to hear all sides, and that's why our legal system is like it is, so that we can understand what the truth is, or try to figure out the truth from two different perspectives. The lot puts an end to quarrels and decides between powerful contenders. A brother offended is more unyielding than a strong city. A quarrel is like a bars of a castle. And so when we offend others, they are going to be unyielding in their desire to either stay away or maybe get revenge or whatever it may be. And so a quarrel is like a bars of a castle. What that means is it limits us from being able to share this good life with one another. From the fruit of a man's mouth, his stomach is satisfied. He is satisfied by the yield of his lips. So we see the idea of the stomach can be satisfied by the yield of his lips. That means we have the opportunity to have much. And I think this is more than just food is what he's talking about. I think it's also how we speak and how we interact with others. But it is talking about all. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruits. So death and life are in the power of the tongue. The tongue can make us go one way or another in life. What we say is going to impact people. The saying as a child, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me, is a terrible saying, because sticks and stones will break your bones that can heal, but words can definitely destroy a person, and sometimes those wounds never heal. And so we need to be sure that we don't give death in our tongue, but that we present life to people, and especially the life in Jesus Christ. He who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. That's very true. Those who have a good wife obtain favor from the Lord. Behind every good man is a greater woman, is how they say it. And so it's a wonderful thing to see that. The poor use entreaties, but the rich answer roughly. A man of many companions may come to ruin, but there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother. And I like that last section here. There is a friend who sticks closer than a brother. And I think if you are fortunate in this life to have good siblings, I think that's a wonderful thing. Most of us have siblings, and some of them are really good to us, and so we are excited about that. But there are those friends out there that will just about do anything for you, things that you wouldn't see your own flesh and blood do. And it's wonderful to see these type of people in our life, and hopefully we can be that type of person for somebody else, to give them strength, encouragement, and to build them up. Because as we see here in the New Testament, we are all brothers and sisters in the Lord. And hopefully we are friends that are closer and stick closer together than flesh and blood. Thank you for listening today, and have a great afternoon.